Madam Chair, members of the committee, Christopher Chernell here on behalf of Audubon, California. I will be very brief. I just want to note three deleterious fiscal impacts to the state if 703 fails to pass this year. First, AB 703's failure would drive many within the land trust community to move their properties into state ownership and or local ownership. If that happens, we all know that there are no local tax revenue benefits that come from that. Second, AB 703's failure would require nonprofit organizations to divert their scarce resources away from important land stewardship activities, resulting in degraded natural resources, etc. And third, and most importantly, AB 703's failure could result in several $1 million in new state costs. This is because over 170,000 acres of land that are currently claimed under this exemption could go back into public ownership if the land trusts that oversee them go under. That could cost several $1 million.
I've had a special request from a member who wants to vote aye on the bill. Let's be briefer.
Ask for your support.
Okay, next.
Reed Addis on behalf of the Los Angeles Neighborhood Land Trust in support.
There you go.
Darla Gensler on behalf of the California Council of Land Trust in support of the bill.
Thank you. And can we have those seats, gentlemen and ladies? Thank you.
Just Malone for CLCV in support.
All righty.
Zoe Lidstrom with the Planning and Conservation League in support.
Chris Mearns on behalf of California Trout, Peninsula Open Space Trust, Big Sur Land Trust of Santa Cruz County, Tulare Basin Wildlife Partners, Marin Agricultural Land Trust, and the San Joaquin River Parkway and Conservation Trust in support.
Excellent list.
Pablo Garza with the Nature Conservancy in support.
Very good.
Michael Endicott, Sierra Club CA in support.
All righty. Is there any opposition? Is there opposition to the bill? And Finance.
We've identified a loss of about $4 million in general fund revenue. We're opposed to the bill.
And our analysis did too, members, but this is a property tax exemption that has been in place for 40 years or so, 25 anyway. Who wrote this? Mr. McKenzie? 40. And so this is not, this loss could be calculated over any of the, not over any of those years, but each of those years. I think it's well worth it, and I would like to see a do pass. Thank you. We have a motion for Senator Alquist, from Senator Alquist. Any comments? We'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters? Walters, aye. Alquist? Alquist, aye. Emerson? Emerson, aye. Liu? Liu, aye. Pavley? Pavley, aye. Price? Runner? Steinberg?
You have 6. I'll leave it for Senator Price. Is Senator Price going to return? Let me know, please. Let's go on to AB 1164, Federal Transportation Funds. This is a due pass, members.
Thank you. As chair of the Assembly Budget Committee on Transportation, I see AB 1164 as a vital bill for retaining federal transportation funds and advancing state and local transportation projects. Most simply put, this bill will allow Caltrans to maximize our receipt and use of federal dollars. And I would respectfully request an aye vote.
Testimony.
Madam Chair and members, Ted Link Oberstar representing Caltrans. We are the sponsor of the bill.
Oberstar?
Yes, Link Oberstar.
Are you a relative of Congressman Oberstar?
Yes, he's my father.
A great advocate for transportation. Welcome.
Thank you. I do represent Caltrans. We are the sponsor of the bill. It basically just puts another tool in our toolbox to help manage the allocation of federal funds. Be a very limited use. And as your committee analysis notes, no new costs and potential savings. I think given the hour, that's pretty much all I should say.
All right, very good. Any other testimony? Come on up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening. Eduardo Martinez on behalf of the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. This is the Metropolitan Planning Agency for the Bay Area. We have an opposed unless amended position, and we've been working with the author's office. I think we're close. We have a concern, and I believe we've been working with Caltrans as well, that the bill states that while the funds may be only loaned if the department determines that such a loan will not impact the department's ability to fund the projects, we're not sure that this will protect the timing of the project's delivery. So we're still working with the author on some of the fine kinks of the language. Thank you.
All righty. Any other testimony? Is there any opposition? Finance, do you have a comment?
We're supporting the bill.
All righty. We have a motion. Senator Alquist moves the bill, and we'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters? Walters, aye. Alquist? Alquist, aye. Emerson? Emerson, aye. Liu? Liu, aye. Pavley? Pavley, aye. Price? Runner? Steinberg? Steinberg, aye.
I heard some strange noise. I heard a very strange noise.
Madam Chair, thank you very much.
That is 7-0. The bill is out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Ms. Carter. Ms. Carter, come on up. This is AB 892. This is a due pass, members.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members. Assembly Bill 892 would provide for an extension for the National Environmental Policy Act, their responsibilities to Caltrans. To assume these federal responsibilities, Caltrans was required to accept the jurisdiction of the federal courts, allowing the limited waiver. The waiver was enacted through AB 1039 in 206, again 2650 again in 208. Under existing law, the waiver remains in effect until January 1st, 2012. The extension would help Caltrans continue to streamline environmental review process for transportation-related projects. The bill has no opposition and has bipartisan support. And I have Mr. Ted Oberstar here if you have any questions, and I respectfully request your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. We have a motion from Senator Emerson. Anything to add, sir?
Just that in the 4 years we've been doing it, we've saved more than a year on the average environmental document. It's good for taxpayers. It's good for the traveling public. So we ask your support.
Other testimony, Mr. Bauer?
Hugh Bauer on behalf of the City of Lake Forest. We'd like to express our support.
Oh. All righty. Is there any other testimony, pro or con? Any other testimony? Finance, do you have a comment?
We're supporting it.
Members, we have a motion from Senator Emerson. We'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters? Aye. Walters, aye. Alquist? Alquist, aye. Emerson? Aye. Emerson, aye. Liu? Aye. Liu, aye. Pavley? Aye. Pavley, aye. Price? Runner? Steinberg? Aye. Steinberg, aye.
7-0. That bill has sufficient votes. And well, let's keep it for Senator Price.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Mr. Monning. Mr. Monning, 3 items. We'd like to move as quickly as we can. AB 922. This is a suspense candidate, members. Very briefly, Mr. Monning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My notes said good morning. I changed them to say good afternoon, and now I've changed them to say good evening. So in the spirit of your long day, I do waive presentation on AB 922.
Okay, good.
Next in order.
Then we'll hold it. We'll take testimony on 922. Those in favor?
Beth Capel on behalf of Health Access California, pleased to be a co-sponsor of the measure.
All righty.
Juan Thomas, California Medical Association, support of the bill.
Elizabeth Landsberg with the Western Center, a co-sponsor and strong support.
Further testimony on 922. Is there opposition?
Stephanie Watkins on behalf of the Association of California Life and Health Insurance Companies. We're concerned about the general cost and the duplication of efforts, so we're currently opposed to the bill.
Thank you. Any other testimony? Seeing none. Finance, you have a comment?
We're also opposed.
This is a suspense candidate, members. If there's no objection, we'll move it to suspense. And then, Mr. Montague, you can present on AB 1083, healthcare coverage.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senators. AB 1083 amends California law regarding small employer coverage known as small group coverage. Like several dozen other states, California reformed its small group law in the mid-1990s to require guaranteed issue, guaranteed renewability, and to limit rating based on health status to plus or minus 10%. In 2014, federal health reform requires us to make further changes, eliminating any rating based on the health status and changing the size of employers that are covered. As your analysis indicates, there will be minor costs to the regulators. I ask for your aye vote.
Witnesses?
Beth Capel on behalf of Health Access California, pleased to be co-sponsoring this measure with our colleagues at Small Business Majority to bring. This bill generally, as Mr. Monning indicated, makes the minimum number of changes to existing California law to bring it into conformity with federal law. We are continuing to work with the California Department of Insurance to address the remaining issues that they have and hope and anticipate making progress on that.
Next, please.
Good evening, David Chase for Small Business Majority. As my colleague mentioned, we are a co-sponsor of this bill. This bill really gets at the number one issue for small businesses, which is the cost of health care. We believe if we can move forward with this bill, we can help small businesses continue to provide and expand on that of a quality, affordable health care for their employees. Thank you.
Next, please.
California Medical Association. My name is Juan Thomas. We're in support of the bill.
There's a couple. Go right ahead.
Alicia Sanchez with the American Cancer Society in support.
Any other testimony in favor? Testimony in favor. Is there opposition? Opposition, come on up. Go right ahead.
Hi, good evening, Mike. Good evening, Michael Martinez here on behalf of the Department of Insurance. And we have informed the author's office that we regretfully are in opposition unless amended to the bill. However, very recent communications with the author's office and the sponsors as recently as this morning have indicated a step in the very good right direction, and we look forward to working with them. And our concerns are primarily solely on policy, and we do concur with the fiscal analysis that the committee consultant has conveyed in the analysis.
Thank you. Next, please.
Stephanie Watkins on behalf of the California Association, if I can say my name right. It's been a long day. The Association of California Life and Health Insurance Companies. We'd like to thank the author and the sponsor. We've been working with them throughout the year on this bill. Unfortunately, we've come to a place where we're still in opposition unless amended. We provided substantial amendments to conform the bill to the ACA. And similar language that was placed in another bill coming out of this committee we'd like to see to ensure that the bill continues to mirror what the federal government does so that there's no confusion to our members and then it can be implemented on a national level. So we remain opposed. Thank you.
All righty. Further testimony. Any other testimony, pro or con? Finance, you have a comment?
No file.
This is a do pass. Senator Alquist moves the bill. Senator, Mr. Monning, any very brief responses to the...
No, I think the concerns are policy related. On the fiscal front, I think...
We will need to...
we are working with those who have opposed.
We'll need to see those amendments as it goes forward. Yes.
We will do that. And again, I appreciate your consideration. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All righty. This is a do pass, members. Senator Alquist moves the bill. We'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters? No. Walters, no. Alquist? Aye. Alquist, aye. Emerson? Aye. Liu? Aye. Liu, aye. Pavley? Aye. Pavley, aye. Price? Runner? Steinberg? Aye. Steinberg, aye.
All right, well, let's keep that open just in case Senator, either Price or Senator Emerson come back. That's Senator Price. So you have...
AB 1394 next.
But the vote on the last one...
I'm sorry.
...is 5-1. You have sufficient votes. I just want to keep it open for the absent members.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to 1394. This also is a do pass, members. Go ahead, Mr. Monning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this evening I present AB 1394, a committee bill to make technical and clarifying changes to the statutes affecting the California Health Facilities Financing Authority. CHFFA is administered by the State Treasurer's Office to provide loans to public and nonprofit health care providers in California through the issuance of tax-exempt bonds.
Senator Walters moves the bill. And,
thank you.
Any specific details you want to bring to our attention?
I think I will just defer to witnesses who might want to comment. I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All righty. We'll go to the witness.
Hi, members. Diane Stanton from the State Treasurer's Office. We are the sponsor of the bill, and I can answer any technical questions.
Goody, no questions. And let's see, any other testimony in favor or against the bill? Any opposition? Seeing none. Finance, do you have a comment?
We're neutral.
Senator Walters has moved the bill. Members have any comments? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters? Aye. Walters, aye. Alquist? Aye. Alquist, aye. Emerson? Lou? Lou, aye. Pavley? Pavley, aye. Price? Runner? Steinberg? Aye. Steinberg, aye.
6-0. You have sufficient votes, but we've got a couple of members out of the room, so I'm going to...
Thank you, Madam Chair.
keep it
And now,
open.
with your permission, I'd like to present on behalf of Assembly Member Bonilla, AB 792 and AB 1296, both scheduled for suspense.
Yeah.
I have very brief comments.
All right, very,
with
very
your
briefly.
permission. With respect
This is A15, oh no, excuse me.
792, AB
792, the Health
792.
Benefit Exchange. Go right
Yes.
ahead.
On behalf of the author, I want to thank you for letting me present on her behalf. She's facing a family emergency. Our thoughts are with Assemblymember Bonilla. This bill initiates an application for enrollment into the exchange for people who are losing their coverage because they lost their job, got divorced, or otherwise lost coverage. I won't go into greater detail. I think there's some witnesses here to
We'll go to the
testify in
witnesses.
support.
Ms. Capel?
Beth Capel on behalf of Health Access California. We're the sponsors of this bill. In the future, if you lose your job or lose your coverage because you got divorced, you'll be able to get coverage through the exchange. We will look forward to working with your staff to reduce the potential general fund costs from the Employment Development Department while it's on suspense. Thank you.
Alrighty, we'll certainly need to do that. They're calling out $11 million and up.
Yes, ma'am. That
Alrighty.
was news to us when we got the analysis.
Next, please.
Elizabeth Landsberg with the Western Center on Law and Poverty here in support.
Juan Thomas with the California Medical Association in support of the bill.
Other testimony in favor? Other opposition testimony? Go ahead. Give us the support testimony.
Ignacio Hernandez on behalf of the California Immigrant Policy Center in support of the bill.
Alrighty, and now we're moving to opposition. Come on down.
I'll try to do it right the first time. Stephanie Watkins on behalf of the Association of California Life and Health Insurance Companies. We are currently opposed to the bill unless amended. We've been working with the author and sponsor on some potential amendments that would reduce the general cost for our health insurance providers. Our biggest issue is regarding the IT and the structure and the issue of gaining consent from our currently or enrollees or potentially no longer enrollees, and the idea of tracking them, gaining the consent, warehousing that consent for potentially 2 years, and then transferring that information to the exchange. Currently, don't really have clarification on what information the exchange would like or how they would like it transferred. That's certainly a concern as we go forward, and we look forward to continuing to work with the author and sponsor to see if there's some compromise we can come up with.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senators, Julianne Broyles here on behalf of the California Association of Health Underwriters. Certainly, we echo the concerns brought up by Ms. Watkins, but we also want to point out the fact that this is a bill that we think is definitely premature at this point. It's one that really is dealing with an issue that hasn't even been fully cooked by the Health Benefit Exchange Board, who is concerned, has talked about the concerns about this bill at their last board meeting, that just isn't necessary as of yet. I think you could save a lot of money by holding this bill for a while, and really once the issue is more firmed up by the board, deal with it then. We want to work with the author and the sponsor to try to resolve this.
Any other testimony for or against? Finance?
We also agree that the bill is premature and that it would have costs for opposed.
All right, this is 792. This is a candidate for suspense members. Seeing no objections, it goes to suspense. Mr. Monning, you want to take up the next one? 1296,
Yes,
healthcare
again.
eligibility.
Thank you. Again, on behalf of Assemblymember Bonilla, AB 1296 streamlines and simplifies eligibility, enrollment, and retention for Medi-Cal, healthy families, and the exchange. AB 1296 enacts the Healthcare Eligibility, Enrollment, and Retention Act to implement the much-needed, no-wrong-door, user-friendly, efficient application system that works for real people. We're continuing to try to conform California in a manner that we will be able to hit the ground running with the promise of expanded eligibility and access. We want to make sure that that promise can be effectuated here in California. Respectfully ask for your serious consideration as this moves to suspense. Thank you.
Madam Chair and members, Elizabeth Landsberg with the Western Center on Law and Poverty. We are the sponsors of this bill. As the Assembly member stated, California does need to comply with the Affordable Care Act. We have to have this new system up and running by 2013, have it tested by then. As noted in the analysis, there is 90% federal funding on the Medi-Cal side. Not noted in the analysis is the fact that there's 100% federal funding from the exchange. California was awarded $39 million this past Friday to run our exchange. $25 million of that was for the eligibility enrollment system. These simplified rules will lead to cost savings in both administration and some health care costs. We're actively engaged with both the administration and with your staff to work out amendments and would urge your consideration coming off of suspense. Additionally, there were several hundred pages of federal regulations on eligibility enrollment that came out this past Friday. We're also, as we work with your staff and the administration, looking to those for guidance. Thank you very much.
Beth Capel on behalf of Health Access California in support.
Juan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Juan Thomas for California Medical Association in support of the bill.
All righty. Any other testimony? Seeing none. Finance?
We are opposed to the bill. We believe that it's premature, that it could limit the stakeholder process that's addressing these issues currently.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. Members, this is a candidate for suspense. Seeing no objection, we're putting it in the suspense file.
Thank you.
Thank
Again,
you, Mr.
thank you, members, for your long day.
And
Appreciate
where
it.
are we? Butler. Ms. Butler, are you ready? We'll take up the one item, correct, 1044 registered warrants. This is a due pass, members. Go right ahead, Ms. Butler.
Thank you. Very good evening to all of you, Chair and members. AB 1044 codifies the Board of Equalization's current administrative practice to accept registered warrants as payments for the sales and use tax and other taxes, surcharges, and fees that are owed to the board. Existing law already requires the Franchise Tax Board to accept registered warrants for taxes owed. This is a fairness issue, and that is why the BOE endorsed this bill in a unanimous 5-0 vote. By giving the Board of Equalization the exact same authority as the Franchise Tax Board, this bill gives California taxpayers another opportunity to make good on their obligations to the state. AB 1044 would have no impact on state or local revenues, as well as...
Thank you. Let's go to your witness, Ms. Butler.
My name is Margaret Shedd. I'm representing the Board of Equalization. We're the sponsor. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All righty. Any other testimony in favor? Opposed? Finance, you have a comment?
No file.
Members, we have a motion due pass. Any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters?
Aye.
Walters, aye. Alquist? Alquist, aye. Emerson? Emerson, aye. Liu? Liu, aye. Pavley? Pavley, aye. Price? Price, aye. Runner? Steinberg? Steinberg, aye.
8-0. The bill is out. Thank you, Ms. Butler.
Thank you, members.
Let's see, Mr. Davis.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman and members. I guess AB 1084.
Yeah, that would be the first one.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Thank you. AB 1084 will amend the existing CalVet home loan program to allow CalVet to be used to finance the purchase of a shared equity cooperative. A shared equity cooperative is a form of housing ownership developed to help low-income individuals and families buy homes. The Department of Veteran Affairs will incur no more than the minor absorbable costs as a result of this bill, AB 1084. With me today, I have Chuck Helgett of the Vietnam Veterans of California, and Dana Nickel of Pete Conity and Associates here to answer any questions.
We'll go to your witnesses very quickly.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Chuck Helgett representing the California Association of Veteran Services Agencies, the United States Veterans Initiative, Swords to Plowshares, the Vietnam Veterans of San Diego, New Directions, and the Vietnam Veterans of California, Inc. SB 1084 does not impact the general fund and will use existing CalVet funds to help worthy veterans to obtain tax advantages of home ownership, lower their housing costs, and where possible, give them access to needed services. We urge your support.
Dana Nickel, Pete Conatine and Associates, representing AMVETS, Department of California, and the California State Commanders Veterans Council. These general obligation bonds have not needed to be bailed out of the general fund ever. That's 67 years and counting. Thank you.
Next, please.
That's it.
All righty. Any other testimony for or against the bill? Any opposition? Seeing none.
No file.
Mr. Lloyd?
No file.
All righty. This is a suspense candidate. Without objection, members, we'll move it to the suspense file. And then next, Mr. Davis, is AB 1329.
Thank you, Madam.
And members, this is the analysis notes that it's may meet the suspense threshold, but I have to, I guess, disagree somewhat with the analysis in that it may be potentially significant, but I don't see significant real costs now. The Ken Maddy Cancer Registry has been, I think, Ms. Johnson, if I'm wrong, correct me, has been handled by USC for decades and another nonprofit. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And I don't see any reason for not moving the bill forward and allowing that to continue, to just be succinct about it. So let's hear testimony about that. Mr. Davis, you want to open, and then we'll go to your witnesses.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
So then it would be a due pass, members.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to present this Bill 1329 on the California Cancer Registry. AB 1329 would create a competitive process by which the California Department of Public Health can grant awards for the California's statewide and regional cancer registry. To address the concerns in the committee analysis regarding grantee enforceability and any potential costs, we believe this granting process to be sufficient for grantees to meet specified milestones, deadlines, and deliverables in exchange for funds as would be required by a contractor. To further address grantee enforceability, I have with me.
There we go. Let's go to the witnesses.
Matthew Marsom and also Veronica Villalobos Cruz, who are here.
Let's go to your witnesses.
Matthew Marsom with Public Health Institute. Madam Chair, members of the committee, we are pleased to be a co-sponsor of AB 1329. Public Health Institute, along with USC and our other partners, have operated the cancer registry for over 25 years.
25 years. I knew it was a long time.
This is a critical program that's internationally renowned that brings together cancer epidemiologists and researchers to track and measure cases of cancer in California. Just to specifically focus my remarks on some of the questions that have been raised, this legislation, by providing a granting provision, would help to protect this critical program and provide the Department of Public Health with critical flexibility to operate and maintain the registry, and also protect the flow of tens of millions of federal dollars that come into the registry in cancer research grants. We're very concerned that without this granting flexibility, the registry is at risk. The provisions, the granting language mirrors federal granting language used by the Centers for Disease Control that would provide the department with the ability to require necessary accountability measures, including requiring deadlines, specific outcomes, and deliverables through this competitive granting.
Very good. Let's go on to the next person.
Thank you. Veronica Villalobos Cruz with the University of Southern California. We are a co-sponsor of the bill. For example, in regards to funding at the University of Southern California, 65% of the funding that supports the registry is federal funding that we draw down through competition. The rest is institutional and state funds, and it's largely leaning towards federal funding as we go down the road.
Very good.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Alicia Sanchez with the American Cancer Society. I'd align myself with my colleagues' testimony and thank you, Madam Chair, for your leadership in continuing to move the bill through the process.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Kathy Mossberg on behalf of the Cancer Prevention Institute of California. Operate the Greater Bay Area Registry. The gentleman who represents them had to leave, so they just wanted me to make sure to put out that they are supportive of this bill.
Very good. Thank you. Any other testimony on the bill, for or against? Seeing none. Finance, do you have a comment?
No file.
All righty, members. We have a motion by Senator Alquist. With no further comment, we'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters? Aye. Walters, aye. Alquist? Alquist, I. Emerson. Emerson, I. Liu. Liu, I. Pavley. Pavley, I. Price. Price, I. Runner. Steinberg. Steinberg, I.
8-0. Okay, that's out.
Thank you.
I want to lift calls on two of the Monning items and then just to finish them off. Mr. Monning's items. First is AB 1083. It's a due pass, 5-1. Kehoe, aye. Walters, no. Call the absent members, please.
Emerson. Emerson, no. Price.
Senator Price, you want to vote on the Monning bill? Thank you.
Price, aye. Runner.
6-2. That bill is out. Second Monning item is AB 1394. Chair, aye. Vice Chair, aye. Call the absent members, please.
Emerson. Emerson, aye. Price. Price, aye. Runner.
I know it's been a long day. Okay, 8-0, and that one is out. And now we have our last, I think our last action item, but we have a number of wave presentations, members, so I hope a couple of us can stay and handle those. We've got one more. Mr. Williams, this is the last action one. Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Mr. Williams. And then
thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being so patient after 10 hours.
That's all right.
Though I think your chairpersonship gets better as the hours go on. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The clock is ticking, Mr. Williams.
AB 1245 enables the State Emergency Medical Services, EMSA, to move forward with developing a specified emergency medical responder course, but prohibits EMRs from being added as another practitioner to the EMS system. This bill will ensure that if EMRs are inclined to be allowed to participate in the EMS system, they will need to come back to the legislature for guidance on how best to structure their scope of practice and certification process. EMSA is currently in the process of developing the regulations for an EMR course. This bill does not interfere with that process and has minor and absorbable costs associated with it if EMSA chooses to continue with the development of the regulations.
All right, let's go to your witness.
Madam Chair, members, Christy Baumer representing the California Professional Firefighters, pleased to be the sponsors of this measure. Simply protects the integrity of the process that was approved by this legislature several years ago, making sure their EMT response professionals are appropriately background checked and certified and monitored. We ask for your support.
All righty, any additional testimony? Any opposition? Finance?
We're neutral.
Members, and this is a due pass. Do I have a motion on this yet? Yeah. Senator Emerson moves the bill. Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters?
Walters?
Aye. Walters, aye. Alquist? Aye. Alquist, aye. Emerson? Aye. Emerson, aye.
You sure you got everything?
Liu?
Because we're gonna...
Liu, aye. Pavley? Pavley, aye. Price? Aye. Price, no. Aye. Runner? Steinberg? Aye. Steinberg, aye.
Okay. Hold it. Let's get this one out of the way. What about Mr. Williams? 8-0, Mr. Williams. That bill is out. All right, members.
Thank you, members.
There are a couple of votes we have to finalize now, and then my vice chair, Senator Walters, and I will stay for the remainder.
And these are the ones that don't have enough votes to get out.
That's right. That's right. Or that we left on call a couple at the end when Senator Price and Senator Emerson were in and out. Senator Emerson, are you on everything you want to be on? Okay, all right. Let's just, you missed a couple at the end of the meeting. Are you okay with that? Okay. All righty, let's, Senator Price, here's one right now. No, he says he's okay, so we're going to take your word for it. Yes, we're lifting calls right now. The secretary needs just a moment. Are you okay now?
I think I'm okay. It was just if he stuck around for 2 more seconds, he could have added on to 112.
I know, but sometimes they don't hear.
I know.
We got to let go.
Yeah, I think he's okay. Those were the only two that were.
He's gone.
I know he is.
All righty, we're lifting calls, members, and we are at, tell me the bill number.
AB 1112 Huffman.
AB 1112 by Mr. Huffman. Chair is aye, vice chair is no. Call the absent members.
Price.
Have you got him now?
Runner. Steinberg.
Aye.
Steinberg, aye.
Makes it
5-2, that bill is out.
AB 1184.
AB 1184 by Mr. Gatto. Chair is aye, vice chair not voting. The count is 6-0.
Walters. Aye. Walters, aye. Runner. Steinberg.
Aye.
Steinberg, aye.
8-0, that bill is out. Next is 1168 by Dr. Pan. Chair is aye, vice chair had not yet voted. The count is 5-0. Call the absent members.
Walters.
Not voting.
Pavley. Runner. Steinberg.
Aye.
Steinberg, aye.
6-0, that bill is out. Next is AB 551 by Ms. Campos. The chair is aye, the vice chair is no. The count is 4-2. Call the absent members.
Lou. Lou, aye. Runner. Steinberg.
Aye.
Steinberg, aye.
That is 5-2, yes. Right? No, hold it.
What did I do?
6-2. That's all right. 6-2, correct? Next is AB 700 by Mr. Blumenfield. The count is 6-0. Chair aye, vice chair aye. Call the absent members.
Lou.
Aye.
Lou, aye. Runner. Steinberg.
Aye.
Steinberg, aye.
8-0, that bill is out. And next is AB 703 by Mr. Gordon. Count is 5-0. Chair and vice chair aye.
Price. Runner. Steinberg.
Aye.
Steinberg, aye.
7-0, that bill is out. Next is AB 1164 by Mr. Gordon. Count is 7-0. Chair aye, vice chair aye.
Price. Runner.
7-0. Next is AB 892 by Ms. Carter. 7-0. Chair and vice chair both aye.
Price. Runner.
I thought he missed a few. That's the remainder of the action items, unless somebody can tell me differently. So we've taken care of all that. We're going to go back to the top of the file and take up each item in which the presentation has been waived by the author, and we've not addressed it yet. So if you're here in the public to testify on any of these items, and there's quite a few, raise your hands. You don't have to run or anything like that. Thank you, Senator Steinberg. Thank you to all the members for hanging in there. And a special thanks to my vice chair for sitting now and dispensing with all these. First are the speaker's bills by Assemblymember John Perez. This is AB 29, Office of Economic Development. AB 29, testimony in favor, testimony opposed. Finance, do you have a comment?
I have to dig them out.
I know. You're going to have to whip around now. AB 29.
No.
No file. That goes to suspense. Next by Speaker Perez is AB 557, the Veterans and the National Guard. Is there testimony in favor? Testimony opposed? Finance, do you have a comment?
No.
That goes to suspense. Next is AB 581, also by Speaker Perez, Public Health and Food Access. Testimony in favor? Opposed? Finance?
We're opposed.
Finance is opposed. It goes to suspense. AB 624, California Investment Network by Speaker Perez. Testimony in favor? Opposed? Finance?
We're opposed.
That item goes to suspense. Next is AB 767, State Capital Sustainability in here in the building. Speaker Perez, any testimony in favor? Opposed? Finance?
No position.
No position. That goes to suspense. AB 781 by Speaker Perez, local government, county government. Testimony in favor? Opposed? Finance?
Neutral, no concerns.
Neutral, and you're noting concerns?
Noting a concern
Okay.
with the local mandate.
That goes to suspense. Next is by all the bills are Assembly Member Fewer. 3 items. AB 1151, public investment, the retirement system in Iran. Is there testimony in favor? Testimony opposed? Finance, you have a comment?
Which bill is this?
This is 1151.
We're opposed.
Item goes to suspense. Next is also by Assembly Member Fewer. AB 1229, transportation financing. Testimony in favor? Opposition? Finance?
We're opposed.
Goes to suspense. AB 1344 by Fewer, the local governance. Testimony in favor? Against? Finance?
No position.
Goes to suspense. That takes care of Mr. Fewer's items. Next is Mr. Bell. 2 items. AB 138, Elder Economic Index, Planning Act of 2011. Testimony in favor? Opposition? Finance? This is 138.
No. No position.
No position. I did not. Let's see, that goes to suspense. Next is AB 212, also by Mr. Bell, Fostering Connections to Success. Testimony in favor? Opposition? Finance?
We're neutral.
Goes to suspense. That takes care of Bell. No, what did I miss? I think I did it when he was standing there. All righty. Ms. Galgiani has 2 bills on high-speed rail. AB 145 on high-speed rail. 4, testimony in favor. Opposition. Finance.
We're opposed.
Finance is opposed. Goes to suspense. AB 292, high-speed rail and agricultural lands. Testimony in favor. Opposition. Finance.
No position.
No position. Goes to suspense. Next, 1 item by Mr. Lara, AB 1313, the employment of agricultural workers. Testimony in favor? Against? Finance?
We're opposed.
All righty, goes to suspense. 2 items by Mr. Portantino, AB 160, concurrent enrollment. Is there testimony in favor? You're the next one. I'm glad you're in the blocks. 160, for or against? Anyone in the public? Finance?
We're opposed.
Goes to suspense. Next is AB 322, rape kits in evidence. And 4, testimony in favor.
Yes, Geraldine Stapleton, is this on? Yeah, speaking for the California National Organization for Women, and also on a personal note because I happen to be a survivor of rape myself. So I know how very, very important that testing these rape kits are, because not only, it's the only way you're going to be able to detect serial rapists, and the majority of rapists they rape on an average of like 1 to 6. So if you're going to be able to catch these people, this is extremely important. But not only that, On the other side of the coin is that you save a lot of money by wrongful imprisonment. So I would very, very strongly urge you, to pass this, because it will actually be saving you money in the long run to do so.
Thank you.
Not only that, but lives.
Thank you for your testimony, and I appreciate you being so forthcoming. And that is testimony in favor. Is there any opposition testimony to AB 322? Finance, do you have a comment?
No file.
It goes to suspense. Next are two items by Ms. Brownlee. AB 815, State Seal of Biliteracy. Testimony in favor? Come on up, then we'll take opposition. Finance, this is 815. Go ahead.
Dolores Sanchez, representing the California Federation of Teachers. We're a proud co-sponsor of the bill, and we believe that biliteracy is a good thing.
Biliteracy is a good thing, all right. You've been here as long as I have.
Yes. It's getting cold in here, too. Martha Zaragoza-Diaz, representing Californians Together. We're also a co-sponsor of this bill, but I'm also representing the California Association for Bilingual Education and also public advocates that support this bill. We believe that in light of all of the difficult challenges that schools are having to face with regards to reduction in program and services, that AB 815 is a ray of sunshine because it will provide student recognition on or achieves recognition of achievement by students who learn more than one language other than English. We believe that this is an activity that can be done by schools with very minimal costs and also can be implemented by CDE with minimal costs. So we are working with CDE and with your consultant to address some of the cost issues by the Department of Education. But I would like for you to note that this bill has no opposition, and it has broad, diverse support by many organizations, including the State Superintendent of Public Instruction, as well as the business sector, like the LA Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you hanging in there. Any other testimony for or against the bill? This is AB 815. Finance, do you have a comment?
We're opposed.
It goes to suspense. Ms. Brownlee has AB 839, pupil nutrition. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance, do you have a comment?
No file.
Ms. Bonilla. Ms. Bonilla has one item, AB 224, academic performance index. Testimony in favor? Opposition? Finance?
No file.
It goes to suspense. Two items by Mr. Hall. AB 241, a gambling moratorium. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance, do you have a comment on this one?
No. No file.
Goes to suspense. Next is also by Mr. Hall, AB 1417, tribal gaming and local agencies. Anybody to testify in favor? Anybody to testify against? Finance, you have a comment?
No.
Goes to suspense. A committee bill from Rev and Tax, AB 242, on taxation. Anybody testifying in favor? Opposed to the bill? Suspense, do you have a comment? AB 242.
We're opposed.
Goes to suspense. Mr. Perea has AB 589, medical school scholarships. Anybody in favor? Any opposition? Finance, you have a comment?
We're opposed.
Goes to suspense. Mr. Calderon has AB 1015, child welfare service. Anybody in favor? Opposition? Finance?
We're opposed.
Goes to suspense. Two items by Mr. Wajkowski. AB 681, above ground storage tanks. Anybody in favor? Any opposition? Finance?
No file.
That goes to suspense. By Mr. Wykowski, AB 794, hazardous electronic waste. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
No file.
Goes to suspense. Mr. Amiano has 4 items. AB 418, Pier 70 in San Francisco, state tidelands, land swap. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
No file.
Goes to suspense. Next by Mr. Amiano is AB 520, reckless driving and vehicle violations. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
No file.
AB 683 by Mr. Amiano, having to do with homelessness. Anybody in favor? Opposition? Finance?
We're opposed.
Goes to suspense. Last by Mr. Amiano, AB 717, Child Abuse Central Index. Anybody in favor? Opposed? Finance?
We're neutral.
Goes to suspense. 2 items by Mr. Chesbro, AB 1297, mental health and Medi-Cal benefits. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
No file.
It goes to suspense. AB 1429, disaster relief having to do with the March 2011 tsunami in Mr. Chesbro's district. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
No file.
Goes to suspense. 2 items by Ms. Skinner. AB 509, federal earned income tax credit. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
We're neutral.
Next is AB 982, renewable energy related projects. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
No file.
Both go to suspense. One more item by Mr. Fong, AB 1056, community colleges. Anybody in favor? Opposed? Mr. Lloyd.
No file.
Goes to suspense. All righty, we're more than halfway through. Dr. Pan has AB 395 on newborn screening. Anybody in favor? Opposed? Finance?
We're opposed.
That goes to suspense. 2 items by Mr. Logue, AB 415, having to do with telehealth, formerly referred to as telemedicine. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
Neutral.
Goes to suspense. Mr. Logue has AB 1352 on taxation. Anybody in favor? Opposed? Finance?
We're opposed.
Both those items go to suspense. Ms. Campos has 1 item, AB 501, public school employment. Thank you. We'll be happy to wait for you. I'm glad you didn't have to skateboard down. This is on public school employment. Are you for or against?
Jennifer Moreno with the California Federation of Teachers. The CFT is the sponsor of the bill and in support.
In support. Any other testimony for or against? Finance, do you have a comment?
We're opposed.
All righty. Goes to suspense. Mr. Manuel Perez has 2 items, AB 532 on pupil assessments. Anybody in favor?
Martha Zaragoza Diaz, representing Californians Together and California Association for Bilingual Education. We're the sponsors of this bill, and there are some cost issues that have been identified by the consultant, but we're having discussions with the Department of Education, and we're hoping to be able to address some of those. Thank you.
Thank you, and you're in support.
Definitely.
Yeah. Any other testimony on the bill, pro or con? And Finance, do you have a comment?
No file.
Goes to suspense. Mr. Perez has AB 1150 on incentive programs. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance, you have a comment on this?
No file.
Goes to suspense. Mr. Fortani has two items. AB 790, Linked Learning Pilot Program. Linked Learning Pilot Program. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
We're opposed.
Goes to suspense. AB 1310, another bill by Mr. Fortani on career technical education. Anybody in favor? Opposed? Finance?
No file.
Goes to suspense. Ms. Lowenthal has AB 574, care for the elderly. Anybody in favor? Opposed? Finance?
No file.
Goes to suspense. AB 957, transportation omnibus bill. Anybody in favor? Against? And
We're neutral.
Thank you. I could use some prompting. Mr. Eng has one. They both go to suspense. AB 597 by Mr. Eng, California financial literacy. Anybody in favor? Opposed? Finance?
We're opposed.
Thank you. That goes to suspense. Okay, Mr. Blumenfield has 1, 2, 3 items. AB 650, public transportation. Oh, I was wondering if anybody was still listening.
We are the bus.
We are the bus.
Okay, 650. Who wants to go first? Oh.
Hi, Catherine Phillips with Environmental Defense Fund. 650 is important because it will provide a way to establish how can we find funding.
Oh, this is the Transportation Task Force.
Task Force. That's a task force to figure out how we find funding for transit.
Very important. Let's
yes, and
remember our budget shortfall. But
yes, but it will be coming out of a fund that's already in existence, not the general fund. It won't be taking from operations money, contrary to what DOF's analysis suggests. It will come from PTA, the part that is an STA. And I'm also speaking on behalf of American Lung Association of California and the Sacramento Metropolitan AQMD because they had to leave. So.
Thank you. Next, please.
Gus Corey on behalf of the California Transit Association in support for the reasons stated by Ms. Phillips. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Endicott with Sierra Club California, and we just really need to get a strategic plan in place, and this will help us do it. Thank you.
Andy Katz from Breathe California, supporting because we need to engage the public to find solutions. Thank you.
Erica Root on behalf of VPSI, Van Pooling Services, Inc., in support of the bill.
Brendan Tuig on behalf of the California Air Pollution Control Officers Association in support.
Any other testimony in favor? Any opposition?
We're opposed.
Finance is opposed. It goes to suspense. Mr. Blumenfield also has AB 740, personal service contracts. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
No file.
Goes to suspense. AB 796, capital access loan program. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
We're neutral.
That goes to suspense. All righty. Ms. Torres has one item. AB 770, emergency telephone system. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
We're opposed.
770.
Yeah, we're opposed.
Opposed? Goes to suspense. AB 851 by Mr. Nastande, distance learning. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
No file.
Goes to suspense. Mr. Silva has AB 862, developmental services. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
We're neutral.
We're
neutral.
Neutral on 882. It goes to suspense. AB, right?
862.
Oh, 862. That was developmental services. Next is 882 by Colonel Cook, veterans and military benefits. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Finance?
opposed.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. Next is Mr. Jones, AB 959, CalWorks and CalFresh reporting. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Mr. Lloyd? 959.
No file.
No file? It goes to suspense. AB 972 by Ms. Butler, substance abuse treatment facilities. Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Mr. Lloyd?
We're opposed.
That goes to suspense. All right, I think that finishes the file. Have I overlooked anything? Thank you, Ms. Walters, for staying.
You did an excellent job.
And thank you to the staff for all your hard work for the last several weeks. We're adjourned.